Good day, everyone. Today, we're gonna report about the Mindanao-Sulu Crisis. So before anything else, let me introduce first myself. I'm Shaina Grace Flores. So, let's start. So, in human affair, crisis is an unstable or crucial time when a bad situation will take a turn for the better or for the worse. So the state of affairs in Moreland had become very bad by the late 1960s, and by the early 1970s had reached crisis proportions. So Corregidor incident are clouded in a fog of conflicting reports. Next is ang Jabida Commandos or gitawag nga Muslims recruits. Next is ang Operation Merdeka, a secret preparation for Philippine military operations in Sabah. So, according to the latter version, the Muslim recruits or gitawag nga Jabida Commandos at first had been told they were training to fight communists, but mutinied when they learned the truth. So, nagrebelde sila. Muslim later Mindanao Independence Movement or MIM aim at the establishment of an Islamic Republic of Mindanao and Sulu. The More National Liberation Front or ang MNLF is an Islamic separatist organization based in the southern Philippines that seeks autonomy for Filipino Muslims called Moros. That is why nasa lagi mo ilang gihimong organization for the Moros people. And the leaders or some of the leaders were Nora Miswari of Sulu, an instructor at the University of the Philippines, Abul Khair Alonto from Lanao del Sur, and also he is a law student at San Beda College. So from mid-1970 and on into 1971, violence erupted in two areas most affected by Christian migration, Cotabato and Lanao del Norte. So kanina mga tuig daghan jud kay mga negative nga nahitabo sa ilaha, and of course daghan kay nag-suffer. So kani si Feliciano Lucis gitawag or alias Toothpick lead a band of terrorized later on called Ilagas or rats sa English. So kani mga Ilagas mo ni siya ang mga against sa government that time. So maong nagkuan sila ilang kaugalingong law or mga rules. So black shirts, an armed wing which fought against Christian militants. So kani mga Christian militants mo ni sila ang gitawag nga Ilagas that time. So nag-away ni sila, and then later on, nagka-worst ang situation sa Mindanao. So, by the end of 1970, the fighting between Ilagas and black shirts in Cotabato resulted in the closing of many schools, disruptions of the economy, and mass evacuation of thousands of innocent victims. So, because of the conflict nga ilang na-experience that time, daghang mga tao ang mas ni gipili nga ilan na lang biyaan ilang tag-sa-tagsang balay and of course ang ilahang farm para na lang sa safety sa ilahang pamilya.
Good day, my name is Kimberly J. Linogan and my report is all about Manili Massacre. Manili was a quiet village. Most of the inhabitants were farmers. Muslims and Christians lived in peace and harmony. Then the tragedy happened. The Manili Massacre occurred inside the mosque in Manili, Carmen, North Cotabato on June 19, 1971. 70 to 75 Maguindanaoans, including women and children, were killed inside the mosque. It was an unfortunate event to those who experienced it, because hindi nila inakala na mangyayari yon because they were inside the mosque. They were there to have a peace talk between the Muslim and Christians. According to the survivor that day, the armed men burned the mosque. They binato nila ng mga bomba, merong mga sinaksak, marami ang namatay. So didn't expect that to happen because they are in the mosque. They are gathered there to have a meeting. So when the armed came, wala talaga silang kalaban-laban. Wala silang magamit ng mga things na kayang magprotekta sa kanilang sarili. The armed wants them to surrender their machine guns and firearms, but they don't have it. So according to my research, the exact number who died that day is still unknown because of the cover-ups during the Marcos regime, when the massacre caught the attention of the international media and Muslim countries. So that's why the Manili Massacre family victims are one of the many people who oppose that former President Marcos will put his dead body in the circle of the National Heroes Cemetery. Moro believe that the Ilaga group are the attack perpetrators. Then other allegations that the Philippine Constabulary sided the Ilaga. They were behind the massacre. Now, this tragedy has not yet been solved. Moro community are still praying and hoping that justice will be served.
Good day, everyone. So my report is all about the Takub Massacre. The Takub Massacre was a very traumatic event, especially for those who live in Taswagan, Lanao del Norte. By the way, my name is Vanessa Epinar. So their conflict began as a political allies in the mid-1960s, but by the 1970 elections for Constitutional Convention delegates, they had become a bitter rival. In 1971, groups Muslims called Barracudas began depredation in towns on the northern coastline in support of the political cause of the Muslim candidate running for governor against the Christian incumbent in the November elections. So by September, hostilities between the Barracudas and Ilagas had greatly escalated and led to large-scale evaluation of both Muslims and Christians. Because of that hostile behavior or the unfriendliness or opposition, Muslims fled towards the Lake Lanao area, and Christians went to Iligan to Uzamis, Cagayan de Oro, and Dumaguete. And there are 500,000 evacuees are estimated. The Moros were returning for attempting to vote in a special election. They had been torn away by the Ilagas from polling places in Magsaysay, Lanao del Norte. Then after that, 40 Moros were killed with no fatality on the government side. But in 1971, elections then were significant because they formalized the shift of the political power from Muslims and Christians in parts of Moro land. Then in 1971, the Mindanao War had taken a toll of 800 lives and there were 100,000 refugees. On September 21, 1972, President Marcos declared a martial law throughout the Philippines. One of the reasons he gave for doing so was the existence of the conflict between Muslims and Christians in Mindanao and Sulu will be resolved. Typically, the imposition of martial law accompanies curfews, the suspension of civil law, civil rights, and habeas corpus, and application or extension of military law or military justice to civilians. Civilians defying martial law may be subjected to military tribunal or court martial.